Hey, business building warrior, welcome to the weekend update. If you're listening to this episode right when it came out, it's Saturday. And what we like to do on Saturdays is still work. A lot of us work 6 days and rest one. Hey, good enough for God, good enough for us. That's the way He created the whole universe, right? So we're working on a Saturday, sure, but why not take along a great update, a podcast episode that we've gone back and reviewed from maybe 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months ago. We've got hundreds of great interviews. So what we do on the weekends is we go back, we find those great episodes that maybe slipped past your radar, or some of those great insights and tips and strategies from some of the successful students, and just kind of break it down into little easily digested nuggets for your weekend update. So that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to dive into that in just a moment after I make a couple of announcements. First, if you haven't got a free copy yet of the brand new, all new, our 11th update of the Silent Sales Machine book. This is the book that started this podcast. It started our community, the 73,000 members of our free Facebook group, our incredible events. It all started because I sat down about 20 years ago and wrote a book over a weekend. It was actually just a PDF report at the time, and it took off. And it started this incredible movement that is now thousands of business building warriors all over the world. It wasn't because of anything that I did. I was just making some observations and sharing what others had taught me. I kind of compiled the information into one place with the premise of, hey, you can use the internet to grow the business of your dreams. And here's the rules I'm kind of discovering. Here's some of the things you should avoid, I was discovering. And there's a group of us, we just kind of compiled this information and kept learning new things. Well, I've updated it, and the 11th update is now available. All the stuff you should avoid, the legitimate opportunities that are available to you, the mindset that's required in order to tackle these opportunities, a lot of very specific strategic advice on using the internet to launch and grow the business of your dreams, multiple income streams, using the internet creatively. That's the book. So go to silentsalesmachine.com and you can see more about it. Or you can text the word free, that's FREE, to this phone number. It'll be in the show notes as well today. The phone number is 507-800-0090. Now, if you happen to live outside the United States or Canada, that might not work for you. So just email our support team. There's a link at silentjimdotcom and say, hey, I heard Jim make that free offer. Assuming the free offer is still around, which it will expire at some point. But now, as we're launching the book, we wanted to give it away for free. That's a great opportunity for you. So there's that. And I also want to remind you, if you're new around here, this podcast is the supporting podcast for the leading Amazon seller training in the industry. I'm talking about the Proven Amazon course at provenamazoncourse.com. It's the longest running Amazon seller training in the industry, with more success stories than any other, a bigger support team. There's about 100 of us that support that course. All kinds of creative modules for every level of Amazon seller experience. If you know nothing about Amazon, you know nothing about e-commerce, we got you. If you've already got a $50,000, $100,000, $1 million a month business, there's ideas in there I guarantee you have never been exposed to that could improve your business. So for $39 a month, provenamazoncourse.com gets you a library of content that grows with you. We believe in just-in-time education, which means right when you need it, we got that next thing that you need, and it's in there. And then we've got our free Facebook group support community at silentjim.com that's there to help you as well if you want to check that out. So that's the introduction for this weekend update. Let's go find out what the team has put together for us today. Enjoy this episode. We'll have brand new episodes for you starting at the beginning of the week, so don't miss those. Hey, have a great weekend. God bless you, warrior. Let's jump into the content.
I went back into it in January and went through the Refund Training first and thought, okay, this is doable. I'm very goal oriented, and I thought, I watched I guess Jimmy Smith did the 0 to 10,000. Took me a little longer to get there. I'm still almost there, but that's what I did first. I'm like, okay, it's all laid out for you. Everything's laid out, and I like that. Like, I can follow something like that.
Well, you've got a perspective too, Melissa, that you've seen and tried a lot of different programs.
Right.
20 years in e-commerce puts us, there's a fraction of a percentage of people that can say they've got 20 years of e-commerce experience. And your sniff test is as good as anyone's out there, just because of the sheer amount of time that you've been doing this. When I say sniff test, I'm like, yeah, that's a clown promoting a scam. You can see it from 10 miles away.
Oh,
A lot of people got to get hit in the face with it and lose some money first, not you. I mean, I don't even know you that well. And have we ever interacted before at all that you recall?
No.
That's crazy, because your name doesn't even, I mean, as I see it, it's a common enough name, of course, but I'm like, I can't believe 20 years. It's just the testament to what can be accomplished on the internet. But the point I'm making is, I would like to hear you kind of contrast, now that you're on the cusp of having $10,000 a month of the replens business. Just contrast this to some of the other things you've done, and no need to paint it with, rose-colored glasses. Be very realistic for folks, because they hear me say all the time, I've seen it, tried it, done it all, and I don't see anything like this. But put it through your experience filter for us with complete transparency. That's fine. I mean, if there may be some other things that used to work even better and you're still excited about, you wish they still worked, but put it in perspective for us.
It's almost, I don't want to say it this way, but I'm going to say it this way. It's almost like too good to be true, because you can make money at this. I've done a lot of things, and yes, I've made some money at it, but to be consistent over time, to be able to continue to see the growth, to continue to see the profits, and it just keeps growing. I've done things where they just die out. It's a lot of work without, like, replens, you could just go and replenish them. When I would do Poshmark, I'd have to keep finding the products. And I do that a little bit with the online arbitrage and tactical arbitrage, using that. But it was taking the pictures, and it was posting, and it was writing descriptions, and it was just so time consuming. And this is just something that once you get the ball rolling and you figure it out, it's really, the sky's the limit. Yeah. And it's really a good program. And I know, just because you've been around so long, I knew I could jump back in. I knew you were trustworthy enough, and this group was too. And the group is awesome. And I found, which is really funny, and we could get into this too later, but for newer sellers, it's really good to have an accountability partner, and to have somebody or other people that you can bounce ideas off of. And I found somebody through the group who actually lives in my area, and our kids know the same kids, and we've never met until, a few months back, but now we meet regularly. She's a coaching student. I'm a coaching student.
Wow. So your kids knew each other before you realized you guys were both part of this community?
They knew of each other because their similar friends were friends.
That's great.
And we know the same people. We just never have met.
Yeah, of course. But this community kind of became the catalyst for a new local friend / accountability partner. And we love to see that happen. We've actually, for those who aren't familiar, if this is one of your first episodes, we've got a 72,000 member Facebook group of people who do various versions of the stuff we teach around there. Most of them are focused on the replens model, which is what Melissa and I are talking about today from the Proven Amazon course. But it's a free Facebook group. Go to silentjimdotcom, jump in there. We have instructions on how to find people who live near you who are doing the business. We encourage it. We want you to meet up and form relationships, masterminds, go to lunch. Even if it's a virtual mastermind, we see a lot of those form as well, Melissa. And you hear us encourage this all the time on the show. I think probably 75% of our shows have a bit of a theme of how important relationships are to the journey with this. So I love that you went there, but I also love the way you presented, to back up 3 minutes, the concept of replens contrasted with other business opportunities. And I know we've been doing about 6 years now, coming up something like that, teaching replens. The concept started in this community, and you see other people talking about it now. And I think they're kind of fumbling around with beginning stages in most communities, because we've got several years of experience now. But the thing I got excited about was, like you just said, and I'll put it in my own words, how predictable, almost boring this model is. Yes. I almost, another visual image I had as you were discussing, and I was just kind of thinking back to how I processed replens. It's almost like you're dropping oil wells on property, and just, you don't know if it's going to pump you $100 of profit or if it's going to pump you $50,000 profit. You just don't know. You do know that you're not going to lose anything dropping it on. It's like you're just dropping these little oil wells. Each ASIN that you discover is a replen. It may last for a few weeks, it may last for a few months, or a year or more. You just don't know, but it's profitable. If it's not, you turn it off and you move it somewhere else.
Exactly.
That's the model. And it's just so predictable and boring, and it's scaling so beautifully. Every time someone says, I got a problem with my replens business, we have the same answer. Go find more replen ASINs. That'll fix it. Like it's at its heart, it's a brutally simple model. Now, there's a lot of complexities as you grow.
Yeah.
And we can talk about some of the realities of the business. I'd love to dive into it. But I love just how you kind of positioned it against, I'm sure there's even probably a dozen other things that you've tried. You guys sound very entrepreneurial as a family, and you've kind of done it and seen it all.
Yeah. And I'm somebody too that's, I have like a lot of, I guess I have like a lot of ideas. So things don't keep my interest all that long. I'll try it for a little bit. And if it's like, yeah. But there's so much different stuff and so much that you guys offer in the pack course that it's never boring. There's always something different. So it keeps
there's always more to learn.
Oh, always more to learn. Always more.
I mean,
and I love learning new things. I do. And I'm actually using this business to be able to kind of go into retirement with. I wanted to have some extra money in retirement for our family. And I wanted to just keep the mind sharp, maybe even be able to teach my kids. And there's so much to it that it's really limitless what the course can do and what you can do with it.
With a bit of an e-commerce background and this skill set, I frequently say one of the most valuable skill sets you could have. Like if you could go to college and get a degree in this, it would actually be one of the few college degrees that's still worth spending money on. There's a handful out there, but there's not many, in my opinion.
Yeah.
One of them would be how to find products that are positioned in a place of low actual or perceived value and move them using the internet creatively to a place of higher perceived or actual value. Just what's involved in making that happen? Where are the safe bets? Where's the crazy territory where only inventor mindseted investors with a bunch of money to lose? The Shark Tank mindset. I'm going to put all my blood, sweat, and tears into these new revolutionary socks, and they spend 20 years trying to launch their own sock or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about products that already exist, moving them from a place of low perceived or actual value to a place of higher perceived or actual value using the internet creatively. That skill set, if you've got that, you're set.
Yeah.
That is an extremely valuable skill set at the time that we live in for the next 10, 20 years as e-commerce catches up. And you've probably heard me say it before, Melissa, e-commerce is only 15 to 18% of all retail economic activity in the US. Have you heard me state that stat before?
I did, yeah.
I mean, it's in its infancy. Even with COVID, and we took this 5-year leap forward into the future, it's still in its infancy. So if you've got kids who can fall back on that, on top of whatever else they plan to do with their life, that skill set that we teach in the Proven Amazon course, it's incredible. And the replens model is just the base model that you can do so much off of. And I know you've kind of probably started to recognize that as well, getting into your own brands and helping other brands get on Amazon. And it's just such a valuable skill set. So yeah, I'm loving your story, and I'm trying to accommodate some of the newer listeners too, as I'm kind of, why are we so excited about this model in particular?
Not that it's hard to learn, but there's some pieces to it that you have to go do.
Yeah, so. It's a matter of checking those boxes the first time, and then once you've done it once, it's easy every time after that. We actually started up not too long ago with tremendous success, I would say, a very inexpensive intro course for Proven Amazon course students that want to go through with a group of people, other new students, and a coach. And it's a series of Zoom sessions that gets you through the process of shipping your first item in, finding your first replen and actually shipping it in. Because a lot of people get snagged on like, I got to go buy box tape. I didn't even realize that. What kind of box tape should I use? Or, just the little things that tend to be those pause points. We kind of push through all of those with the new students, because once you've done it once, it's just so much easier.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, we call it the Kickstart program. People can email our support team. There's a link at silentjimdotcom. It's for anyone who hasn't sold their first replen yet. Any Proven Amazon course student who hasn't sold their first replen yet. We kind of push you all through those first few steps. And it's under $40 to get.
That's a good idea. I probably would have done that if this was this time last year, I would have done that. It'll speed things up.
Yeah, we got quite a few people that do jump in, and it's so far 100% of the people have been like, yeah, that was great. The only people who don't end up thinking it was a great experience are the people who are overqualified. Like, I've already selling replens. I've already got 5,000 to 10,000 a month. I just want to go back and learn some basics. Well, the basics are, getting signed up for your account and like stuff that you already know. So it's truly for people who are pretty new to the opportunity. And a lot of those groups have formed friendship groups and continue to meet well after the fact, which is a pleasant bonus for us to see that happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, well done. So you've kind of been through those initial stages. You sounds like you were sourcing some local RA, retail arbitrage, when you first got started. And you saw the potential of it pretty fast, it sounds like.
Yeah, I was doing the retail arbitrage. I was doing just driving around to stores. I had done some online arbitrage in the past, and I was kind of familiar with tactical arbitrage, was not using it in the beginning. Just thought I would try to use Keepa and kind of do everything myself, and realized that it was a little bit slow going until I jumped into doing the Keepa course with Brian Olson. So I did that, and that was an eye opener. And I just finished the more advanced one too. So I've learned so much on that. That's just, really, people could get started with that, and you'd probably be good to go. I probably have too many tools. I use a lot of tools, and we can get into that too, and how much money I'm spending on tools, just because I like tools.
Yeah. Sure.
But
as long as they're paying for themselves and making you money, right?
They are, but I probably could be making more if I didn't have some of them. But so that's kind of
I tend to talk people out of tools, which sounds strange because I've got affiliate links to all the tools out there. And like, hey, what's your affiliate link for this tool, that tool? It really is a simple business. If you spend time just diving into Keepa, that's it. I encourage people to go listen to podcast episode 369. We don't have to nerd out over why Keepa is the dominant tool in the space from my vantage point for this business model specifically. They're scraping data that no one else has. Every other tool out there that seems to do what Keepa is doing, it's because they're buying Keepa's data and integrating it into their tool and jacking up the price. Yeah. So yeah, Keepa is the tool. Podcast episode 369. Go listen to it if you don't know why. But you did bring up tactical arbitrage, which tells me you're doing some online arbitrage, hopefully, because it's not a cheap tool. We've got a link to a discount and our affiliate link in the show notes, by the way, if people want to check that out. And before I launch you on that subject, we had a full course. Have you been through that OA Simplified course?
I'm going through it now.
Okay, excellent. OA Simplified. Yeah, it's oasimplified.com, but that full course is now integrated into the Proven Amazon course, which is why Melissa got it for free, because she paid 12 years ago one time and she keeps getting all the free stuff. Yeah. We love doing that. But yeah, what are you thinking of the course and how's that going for you?
That's great. Like the very first, I guess it was the first recording, I was like, I learned so much that I wasn't doing. So that was very helpful. And between that and Keepa, where I would run stuff on Keepa, throw that into tactical arbitrage, and just let that run. But at the same time, go back to Keepa and kind of, look through the results of Keepa, because they won't always pick up, tactical arbitrage won't pick up like all the bundles, whereas Keepa will, and I can kind of go through both. Right. So I do use both. I'm trying to keep like my spreadsheet on where I'm finding my leads from, just so I can go back. I'm doing better with that now. It's kind of new, where I can go back and say, did I get this from tactical arbitrage? Did I get this from Keepa? Where did I find it? Did I find it on my own? Just to make sure I'm not wasting any money on tools.
Yeah, justifying the tools.
Yeah. And I do use a leads list, but I'm using that less and less. So that I might phase out.
I'm actually due to record a podcast episode today on the topic of leads lists. And just to give you the 30-second summary, it's don't use them unless, and then I always have my exceptions, right? It's like kind of like with drop shipping. Just don't do it. Please don't do it unless, I'm doing some drop shipping right now, for example, with our eBay account. We've got a guy, he's selling some high-end expensive items. He just has a handful of them. He's keeping them in his warehouse. So I'm going to list them on my eBay account, get 5 or 10%. I can't remember what agreement my son set up with him. And as they sell, we get, and that's a drop ship arrangement. But I know the guy, I know all the inventory he has. He's not going to accidentally sell one on Facebook Marketplace and it vanishes on us. Those are the drop ship nightmares when you try to scale and sell a whole catalog of items, drop ship style. We're avoiding the nightmare. Well, the way you avoid the nightmares with buy lists is you wait till you're selling $10,000, $20,000 a month to even think about it. And then you use it as a bunny trail list. You don't actually get crazy enough to go buy the stuff on the buy list.
Right.
You're nuts. Even if
Yeah.
there's only a handful of other people that are getting it, all those products are going to get oversaturated with sellers, and some of those sellers are going to get nervous, and the price is going to drop predictably about a month after that product hits the list.
Yeah.
So go back to the older lists, use it as a bunny trail, right? So you use it creatively, and there can be some value there. So that's the brief summary of what I'm going to share. But
I agree with that. And at the bottom of the leads list, they have replenishables, and they'll say when they first like brought it to everybody's attention. So I'll go check that first before I do anything. Is I'll go look at their replens and see if they still hold up.
Yeah.
Some of them, a lot I'm still gated in, so I don't even bother with. And some of the things that are just say more popular beauty outlets like an Ulta, they usually tank. They don't hold up, in my opinion. The ones that I see, because I think anybody that's on tactical arbitrage is probably running those scans anyway for Ulta, just like the easy pickings, things on sale.
Yeah.
So
the low-hanging fruit tends to get pretty picked over, but you learn how to get off the beaten path pretty fast. And there's just so much once you do. And something else that I know you're going to love, Melissa, you've probably heard us talking about it, is the bot strategy that we have, this where you can start scraping.
I can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah, one of the coaches on our team, he and I are going back and forth. I actually have a meeting. Another thing I'm doing today, besides recording another podcast, is I have another meeting with him and some of the software that's coming together to put this whole thing. It's beautiful. So you can go scrape any website, any retail website. And
that would be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to roll through that soon. So be looking for that. It sounds like you're doing a good job, though. I mean, you are hovering around 10,000. So talk us through the past year and a half or so as you've kind of drifted into the reality of this business model.
So I have about a little over 100 ASINs at this point, and I'm doing about a 50% ROI, 55% ROI, but my margins are hanging around 16%. And I'm trying to figure out how to get that back up. And I'll tell you all the other tools I have, and you can tell me whether or not you think like I need to scratch besides the leads list, because that might be coming off. But I use RevSeller, Keepa, the premium version of Keepa, Tactical Arbitrage, Inventory Lab, which I love, and I did jump on Be Cool
as a repricer.
As a repricer.
Yeah, the only one, and Tactical Arbitrage for people who swear by it and love it and use it and really dive in. Yeah, it's great. But the only one that that's probably the next on the chopping block if you're getting rid of some of the stuff that you don't totally need. Right. If you did need it, you'd know. If it's a question like, I'm just not sure, I think you could probably be fine pausing that or getting rid of it for now, and just focusing on diving into, like you talked about, the advanced Keepa strategies. You can do a lot of damage with just diving into Keepa in new and different and creative ways. You can find so many ASINs that way. And so that's kind of where I'm at. The other tools you mentioned, they're all great. That's the same repricer that we use. RevSeller came out of this community. It's another great guy in our community. It's a Chrome plugin, as you know, Melissa, that helps you make pretty rapid fire decisions. It's not expensive. I can't remember what it is exactly. I think it's like $80 a month if you use our community link. I mean, not a month, sorry, $80 a year.
I was going to say, I think I paid for it for the whole year. So
yeah, something like that. Right around $80, and it's a great plugin. Like when I'm bumping around on Amazon trying to look for ASINs for winning replens, I'm using Keepa and RevSeller. That's it. That's what I use. Yeah. And we've got other things going on with our team. I'm not the only one working on our account, but that's my preferred. And then I know over at the warehouse when we're shipping in, making shipments, they are using Inventory Lab as well. But there's some other options out there. Not that they're necessarily cheaper, but in the same ballpark. So yeah, you're at a pretty minimum base level. For someone who's at around the $10,000 level, do you need Inventory Lab? That's maybe debatable. There'd be two schools of thought there.
I use that mostly I use it for a lot of things, but it does make the shipments easier. I do ship myself. So that goes pretty smoothly using that.
If it's saving you time.
Yeah, it saves me time. Some people don't bother with it and they just go right through the Seller Central to do everything. I find that Inventory Lab's like pretty easy to use. Yeah.
Oh, compared to going straight to Seller Central, it absolutely is. But you'll see people using some other tools, and you'll see those conversations in our Facebook group. There's a handful of other ways to do it. But yeah, that's pretty minimal. The other way to get your net margins up, besides just chopping out tools, is to find better replens and, just dig a little deeper off the beaten path.
Yeah.
Looking for replens. Some of the strategies for the slightly slower moving, slightly higher margin replens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you listen to podcast episode 554 about ignoring the buy box?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah, it works. I mean, everyone who tries is like, wow, okay, this is great. In your worst case scenario is, again, you drop it back down into the buy box price and you break even or make a couple dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But that episode is, many people have found that helpful because suddenly, instead of your 50% ROI, 16 to 20% net margin, you're talking about 100% ROI and 35% net margin. And those sales don't happen as often.
Right.
But they really bring the other numbers up, especially if you're talking about, products where you're buying it for 50 and selling it for 120, for example, a couple times a month.
Right.
So those deals are out there. It's just a matter of learning how to, again, you can find it right in Keepa. You can use Keepa's advanced search features to find those deals that are worth testing. Does it have enough drops per month? What's the price point? Let's jump in there and test it. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, just go in and test it. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think I might jump a little. I jumped the gun a little bit, probably on the repricer too. It's like I have the very minimal plan, the $25 a month. So it's my rules, and I'll go in and I'll set the minimum, I'll set the maximum, and then if it doesn't sell within 30 days, then I start getting like jumpy, and I'll start bringing the price down. And I think that might be a little bit of my issue too, just to get rid of it. And I'm probably not waiting long enough.
We'll get back to the show in just a moment, but I have to tell you about a coaching program that's been around for about 19 years. It's coached almost 10,000 e-commerce business building warriors. It's got a team of about 60 coaches who are not only great teachers with tremendous hearts who love their students, but they're all succeeding at the business strategies that you hear taught on this show. If you haven't figured it out yet, I'm talking about our coaching program. There's a link at silentjimdotcom. Get over there, get on our schedule, have a free consultation, zero pressure. We're going to help you build your business on that call. Sign up at silentjim.com, free consultation. See if our coaching program is a good fit for you, where you get to not only work one-on-one with one of our tremendous coaches. Not only do you get that, you also get a reactive coach that you can contact at any point in time. That's a separate coach. You get all the training and content that we provide around here at no cost now and into the future. Tremendous list of benefits. I'm not going to go into all of them right now. silentjim.com. Click on the coaching link, sign up for a consultation. Hey, let's get back to the program.
And I'll start bringing the price down. And I think that might be a little bit of my issue too, just to get rid of it. And I'm probably not waiting long enough.
Yeah, I would say that's probably based on what you're saying. I like to give it 30 days sitting at a nice price before I get nervous and start playing with the price. Especially if you're doing the ignore the buy box strategy on the higher margin, fast moving items, podcast episode 554. One of the things we say is, put it in there at a price you like, where you'd be thrilled to sell it, and leave it alone for a month in Amazon's warehouse. So it's going to take it a week to get there, to get checked in, to hit the shelf. Now the clock starts, and you're going to leave it there for a month and just see what happens. It's a fast mover, which means if you drop the price, it's gone this afternoon. Right. So leave it there, leave it alone. It's kind of like fishing. People, you take a kid fishing and they want to throw it out there and reel it in, throw it out there, reel it in. It's a worm on a bobber. And they're just like, like, no, it's a worm on a bobber. Leave it out there for a month. Just leave it. Patience. Yeah. That's how that, there's other items where you will know pretty quick, okay, it's time to start playing with the price. This thing's not doing what I thought it would do. A repricer could be helpful there. But I like what you just said, Melissa. This is my, repricers weren't a thing for a long time. And then they became a thing. And then everybody thought they needed one. Like it was some kind of magic pill. I like to see people manually reprice and keep an eye on, 75 to 100 ASINs. That's manageable. Flip through that list. few times a week, see what's happening, get a feel for what happens when you drop a price by 50 cents, when you raise it by 75 cents, and where do I want to be compared to the other sellers? Now you know what you expect out of a repricer when you get one.
Right.
You'll appreciate the work. But, if you're only saving yourself an hour or two a week of just kind of bumping through your prices and seeing where you sit, 75, 100 ASINs, yeah, you could probably be doing that yourself. And as much as I love the guys at Be Cool, they're a great sponsor of this show. I would tell it to their face, hey, a repricer is not for everybody. You kind of got to be at a certain level where you've got a lot of inconvenience of the time spent repricing your ASINs, and you're thinking, okay, my time is worth a lot more than money than this. I'm not seeing the return for the time I'm putting in repricing my stuff.
Right.
That's when you jump in.
Yeah. I think that's why I kept it at the $25 level. And I did reprice myself for a while. It's just because if you go to the other level using the artificial intelligence level, it's a lot more money. And it was, I'm not there yet where I want to spend money on that.
Yeah. I think you're safe to wait till you're $15,000, $20,000 a month pretty regular. And, that's kind of based on the models you're using, 150 to 200 ASINs. Now it's a significant amount of time that you're spending repricing constantly. So, if you're going to pause another one, but, $25 a month, it's not a lot.
No.
That's the level you're at. So it's kind of a break-even call for me on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of what, they're the tools I use. I source every day, pretty much every day. I'm trying to hit a dollar amount every week, like spending about $1,200 a week, $1,250 a week. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't, but that's kind of my goal. Packages are coming every day, and I ship out once a week. Right now, once a week. Maybe this week I'll do 2, but I aim to do a shipment once a week.
Are you doing it primarily yourself?
All myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How much time would you say you're putting into your business each week right now?
We say 20, 25 hours.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It's all throughout the day.
Yeah.
And my husband works from home too. He happens to be traveling, coming back tonight, but he's here too. My son has moved out. My daughter's at college. So it's kind of nice just to have, in and out. I can kind of do my own thing. And when I feel like working on it, I work on it. When I have other things to do, I go do other things. But it's about 25 hours. But I don't really feel like it's work. It's a lot of fun.
You're learning and you feel it scaling. You feel the momentum building. Some people, and I want to talk about that 16% number that you threw out there too, because as you and I both know, the vast majority of businesses never get profitable. They die within 3 years or so, whatever the statistics are, the vast majority. We're talking about turning your money over with a very flexible, almost hobby feel type business. It's like you're in there grinding. None of this is, exhausting. You can easily outsource at some point putting the stuff into boxes if you don't like putting tape on boxes. But it's not a grueling thing, and you're getting a 16% net return fairly rapidly, annualized. Let's say you're getting that. You're able to do that 6 to 8 times a month or a year. Excuse me. I mean, that's an amazing annualized return on the money you're putting into this business.
Right.
That's a pool of funds that's growing significantly and rapidly.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty incredible. So in our community, sometimes we're like, oh, only 16%. Wow, that's great. Like, okay, go try to find any investment anywhere getting that kind of net return.
Yeah, when you put it like that, you're absolutely right.
Right? It's nuts.
Yeah.
And it can be done flexibly anytime. You can speed up or pause or slow down anytime you want to, and it doesn't hurt you. Right? It really is a beautiful business to fit into the cracks of your life. Regardless of how much time and effort you have to put into it. So the more of these stories that I hear, Melissa, the more bullish I get on this. And I almost feel like I'm a defender of the model at times against some of the things people say, oh, it's saturated. It's like, well, no, actually, honestly, there's nowhere near enough sellers filling the shelves at Amazon. Right now, as you and I are sitting here talking, there's tens of thousands of ASINs just sitting there lonely with no inventory.
It's true. Yeah.
Amazon hasn't bought anything, and none of the other sellers have either. Yeah. If they did and they sent it in, it would sell instantly.
Right.
Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. They're everywhere. The stuff that was in stock a couple months ago, and it's just not now. It's on stock at your local Walmart.
Yeah.
On stock at your local Walgreens, and it's on stock online and other websites. But Amazon's on that ASIN, they're out. So, if that's saturated, we've got different definitions of saturation. There's opportunity everywhere with this thing.
And I love in Keepa too, when I scroll over, when you have all of your results and you can just kind of go down and when you scroll over it, you see the chart.
Yeah.
You see the chart. And I love the ASINs that have Amazon is in and out.
Mm-hmm.
They're in and out. So they're the ones that I always look at because as soon as they're out, it shoots up, and they're out enough that you can just go in and sit on it until they're out, and then they go back up. So, and they're not a lot of sellers because sellers want to stay.
Because a lot of people have this rule of thumb is like, oh, if Amazon has sold this thing at all in the past year, I'm out. Like, wait a second. Amazon has some and they run out. They have some and they run out. That means it's moving quickly. Not even Amazon can order enough of this thing.
Right.
And it's probably sitting on the shelf at your local Walmart.
Yeah.
So whatever price Amazon's selling it for, just mark it up a little bit above that and cash that bobber out with a worm on it and wait. Don't freak out if it doesn't sell in the first 2 weeks. Don't think you need a repricer. Just wait. And then every unit you have will vanish in an hour at some point. There's ASINs like that everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of, and something I think that with the theme of what we're pointing out right now for people, Melissa, hopefully there's some light bulb moments coming on. This game isn't about finding the right products. It's not about finding good products. Like, shelve that thinking. And congratulations to you, by the way, because you've been in e-commerce long enough. That was the whole game. What am I going to sell? I need a good product. What products can I find? Oh, this is a good product. Oh, I think I can make money on this product. Oh, that's a good product. Everyone's like, product. So it's just drilled into us. Go find good products. That's not the game here. It's go find underserved ASINs. And you just gave a great example. Here's an ASIN, a listing on Amazon, where Amazon has some one day and then they don't have some for 5 days. Then they have some for a week, then they don't have any for 4 days. What's that tell us?
Right.
It tells us a lot.
Yeah.
That tells me to get to Walmart and buy a few of those and mark the price up because Amazon keeps running out. Does that mean that's a great product? I don't care what the product is. There's a pattern on that ASIN that tells me there's opportunity.
Yeah.
And learning to recognize those patterns. And there's about 60 such examples we could give of patterns that represent opportunity. And that's the replens journey, learning those different patterns and what to look for and where to take a small risk.
Fun. That's a fun one. When you go down and you just look at the charts and you can just see them. It's like a beautiful Keepa chart with the Amazon in and out, and it's a straight line. The price has been holding pretty well, except for the times when Amazon's out and then it goes up.
Yep, you see the little price spike. And all the sellers rush in and they all freak out again when Amazon comes and everybody sells it too low. And there you are selling a few a month at a nice profit. Right? Yeah. That's the game. Yeah, learning to read Keepa is invaluable for sure. So the deeper you dive into Keepa, that's why I'm so excited about the constantly new strategies coming out with Keepa in this community.
And there's so many like fun ways to try to find replens too. I mean, you can really, even ChatGPT. I've been using ChatGPT just to ask it like adjectives for, I don't know, tea. Give me adjectives for conditioner. And they'll go through and it'll just give you like all of these different adjectives you can use to go look up these different products that you wouldn't have thought before. Yeah. You just put in conditioner, shampoo and conditioner. Now you can look up, deep conditioning conditioner or whatever. It's just kind of like helps get some ideas flowing.
Yeah, that's a great, I mean, or is it, what is it? Thesaurus. Is it Thesaurus that gives you words?
The Thesaurus. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
For some reason that sounded wrong as I said it. What's another word for thesaurus? No, but I mean, thesaurus.com or, just Google, give me a bunch of words or whatever, ChatGPT, AI, just brainstorm tools for some other words that I can plug in and just kind of look for stuff that looks a little overpriced or seems, anything that's, for me, when I'm scrolling around on Amazon, anything that's got a nice price and seems like it's moving quick, all I can do is take a quick glance at Keepa. Got a good price. It's moving fast. So I'm going to do a little research on that thing and just see what else I can learn about that niche, that product, that particular ASIN, maybe not. But what else is going on around that ASIN? What else have people also bought? Yeah. You just bunny trail and get 50 tabs before you know it, finding stuff everywhere, right?
Yeah. Till I have to shut down my Chrome because I use up all the memory.
Yeah. Chrome is just smoking, saying, mercy, please shut off some of these tabs, right?
Exactly.
It's like
I use Google Lens. I have an Android phone. I think it can, for iOS, I think you can still download Google Lens, or I think it's called Live Text for iOS.
How do you use that?
And then I just take, I'll just take a picture of something. It could be anything in my house. I could take a picture of, and then it'll it'll come up, and at the very top, it'll say, I think it says like any other words you want to add, and I'll say Amazon. So say you have a picture now of, I'm looking at a pledge cleaner, furniture polish.
Sure.
And then I'll put Amazon in, and then I'll choose 25 and above, or the price 25 to 30 or whatever it is. So then you'll see the things come up on Amazon that are priced higher. So usually they're bundles. They're bundles, or they're just overpriced products. And then you can go look at that listing, and then you can kind of do the reverse and do it with a lower dollar amount to see where you can buy it for a lower price. And then you can match them up that way.
You can do Amazon to Amazon flips that way. Just don't buy using your Prime account.
No, I haven't done that. You're right. You can do it that way, but I haven't thought about doing that.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of people do that.
Yeah. Oh,
they'll
sure.
buy, they'll find the 40 pack.
Yes.
And the per unit price is just so low, and they'll bring it to the warehouse, break it up into 2 packs, and flip it back onto Amazon. There's Amazon to Amazon flips everywhere. Yeah, absolutely. Which is another strategy. I mean, there's sometimes people think I'm exaggerating when I say there's dozens and dozens of ways to do replens, but I don't think we've even started to tap into the iceberg of ways to do replens. We've been doing this for a while, and we've got arguably 30 to 50 really strong concepts. I think there's more to be discovered out there.
Oh, yeah.
There's plenty more to be discovered. And that's the new content for the next iterations of the Proven Amazon course as we learn together and do these things. But that's a great tip. I love the tip with the Google Lens and putting a keyword in there. And something else
I'll pull up, just say a website. It could be Walmart, Target, whatever, Lowe's, and right. Just as you're scrolling through products, just take a picture of a product.
Yeah, you can point your phone at the screen even, and have it go find where else on the internet might I find this product, and what's it priced. And
it gives you ideas too. It'll show up other products that you've never heard of, stores you've never heard of, things like that. Sometimes I'll just search on Google Images. So when you go do a search for a product and you hit shopping, you'll go do the shopping. And I'll also hit Google Images, because you'll find all sorts of websites like you never heard of before.
Right. So, good places to potentially source products from as well. I like to, when I do a search on Amazon, a lot of times I'll sort, your typical shopper is going to sort from lowest price to highest price, looking for the deal. Well, for me, I'm looking for the underserved ASINs where I can make a nice margin. So I'll sort it from highest price to lowest price. And typically within that list, whatever product you were looking for, there's going to be some unrelated stuff in there, but there's going to be some decent replens in the mix.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's like, okay, $180 for a 3-pack of that. I've seen that at Walmart before. Like, I can go buy those right now. Okay, is this a good ASIN or not? Is it moving? Or how many sellers are on it? How many times a month is it selling? You make a good decision, obviously. But I like to sort from high to low to find. That's how you find the high-priced ASINs.
Yeah, I do the same thing. It's great. I know. Yeah.
So it's always a treasure hunt, but it sounds like you've got some good skills. And I don't like to say treasure hunt, because it's like trying to figure out where to plant those oil wells, right?
Right.
Where's a good place to plant, set up a new income stream? And I don't know how long it's going to last, but the treasure hunt's more like what you did at the beginning of your e-commerce career, finding stuff you can flip one time.
And then I think it's really how to scale. So I'm using it's not a matter of money, because I have that if I need it. I like a challenge. So it's like, how much can I grow it with the original investment? And I started with a little over 1,000, and then I added 3,000. So that's all I've ever put in. So I'm going to keep doing that just to see how much further I can grow it with the original investment. And just looking at my bank account this morning, I'm like, wow, there's actually more money in there. I could spend more money. Like, it's more than I've had in a while. So it's like, I'm starting to get excited that there's like these payouts are more.
Right. And plus the value of all the inventory you have sitting at Amazon right now.
All of that.
Added to that. Because you could liquidate that instantly for a certain amount. So you add all that together, and you're well ahead.
I'd still be ahead. If I had to do all that, I'd be ahead. Yep. Yeah. So, but it's really how to scale when we're testing 5 or 6 units at a time, how to get enough. That's where I'm kind of stuck.
Time is your friend. Slow and steady wins the race. I could hop on that soapbox for half an hour, but I won't. But that's the beauty of this model, or any business model worth doing. It's the slow and steady
Right.
approach that gets you to the amazing places. We have people come to us, and you get all manner of different perspectives when you run a coaching program. We've been doing it for 19 years coaching, and we'll have people call us and say, okay, I've only got $50,000 to do this. And we'll say, keep 49,000 of it in the bank, because we've got nothing that you can do with that money right now. It's the same thing that we tell to people like the chiropractor who was on our show a couple months ago, who had $300 and that was all he was going to spend. He was determined. Right. He had more he could put into it. Kind of like with you. I put 4,000 in. That's it. I'm going to see what I can do. Right. The place you end up about a year or two into this is exactly the same, regardless of how much money you start with, because it's a matter of finding good ASINs. And if you could find good ASINs, there's third parties out there that will give you very inexpensive money to help you scale. It's about finding more ASINs. If you can continue to find good replen ASINs, that's the only way to get faster to where you're trying to go. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only. So if you're finding 4 a day right now, find 10.
Yeah.
Right? If you're finding 10 a day right now, find 20. That's pretty aggressive. There's certainly been people who find 20 in a day. Not many people who do that every day, but I have heard those stories.
Yeah.
So how much ever time you're spending sourcing, putting into your research and improving your research skills, building a team, maybe, get someone else working with you on that. That's the pivot point for this whole operation that determines where you will be a year from now. So if you're talking about scaling, automation's part of that. Sure. Saving some of your cash so you have enough money to buy inventory. But even that challenge, there's third-party funding sources everywhere. 0 interest credit card for the next 18 months. Those offers are out there. Plenty of money everywhere. That's not the challenge. Challenge is finding good ASINs.
Right. And so I feel like I need more replens versus
ASINs.
Yeah. More ASINs, more replen ASINs versus the arbitrage items I'm finding.
Yeah, the arbitrage is just gravy. That's just it's fun, but to me, I don't even pause for clearance aisles anymore. It could be crammed with all kinds of interesting stuff. I'm just going to fly right on by. Like one time, I hate to walk past $20 bills, and if I've got some time, I might go scan a few things. But no, finding more ASINs is the long-term play. It's just so much more stable. You're building a business that you could sell. It's an asset. You're building an asset. Flipping one-time finds is not building an asset that you can sell someday, right? It's making today a little happier because I made $50 more than I thought I would, but you're not building an asset when you flip clearance and treasure hunts and go to yard sales. And it's fun. I'm not knocking that model at all. It's a great way to spend some spare time, but you're not building an asset.
Right.
So that's where I like to see people get, because as you get into, there's economies of scale as you break through, and now you're at 30,000 a month, or now you're at 50,000, now you're at 100,000 a month. Like Leah, our coach on our team, 100,000 a month traveling. Other people do the whole thing for her, and it's a significant amount of income that she's generating, and her business is growing, and she's working less than she ever has. She would have gotten there a lot slower if she was spending 5-10 hours a week checking out clearance aisles. Right. That would have been almost a distraction. But at this point, yeah, sure, she'd have an extra $5,000 in the bank, but she'd be at the $50,000 a month level instead of the $100,000 a month level. You with me? So there's an opportunity cost there to pumping the brakes and putting an extra $20 or $50 in the bank. Stay after the replens.
Yeah. And along those lines of building a business that you can eventually sell, I like the idea of the branded bundles or branding, because then you can, I'd have my own. I almost want to shrink the ASINs, have my own ASINs, have my own branded items that you can just keep replenishing.
You're on the cusp of what I would consider a well-qualified candidate to begin exploring that. Most people, I like to say $20,000 to $30,000 a month before you start thinking about private label, branded bundles, those kinds of things. But you've got the experience. You've been in e-commerce long enough. You can juggle both those things at the same time and start to play around with. It's a module inside the Proven Amazon course called Proven Brand Building. Go through it. It's not complex. We've got a print on demand module coming soon as well. Something else we'll be talking about at the Proven conference, by the way, print on demand. We've been testing it for a while. We're seeing some students have tremendous success with the example I've been using, because it's right here next to me, is this flashlight. If it's got your brand, your logo on it, and you could just get a few of those from a company that does branded, logoed items, giveaways, and that sort of thing. There's many companies that can do that kind of thing for you. But you do that, you test it out, you build a new listing, you pay some pay-per-click advertising, you give it a shot, you try to boost it. Most of the time, it doesn't work. That's okay. You only bought a few units. Sometimes it takes off. Mm-hmm. Now you got a winner. You're replenishing an ASIN that only you can sell.
Right.
And it's a beautiful way to kind of test your way into private label. We don't like to see new students doing it because new students don't have the stomach for failing 8 times in a row on small tests.
Right.
They want momentum. We want to see some momentum. We want you to put money in the bank as you learn. But once you've got some money to play with, and you've turned your initial $4,000 into $20,000 in the bank, you're like, I could throw $1,000 and run a few tests here. Let's do this. Mm-hmm. Right? That's who that training is for, is those students. And I think you're well qualified to start leaning in that direction here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, because that's something I'm really interested in. I think I was kind of doing it along the way, but one would be the accountability partner. Definitely hang out with somebody that's doing the business, whether it's virtually, meet them through the Facebook group. That's how I met my friend. Definitely play around with different ways to search for different ASINs. I mean, I use anything from just to learn about new products, go to instacart.com and throw in something, and everything comes up. Not just groceries, but like all different products and brands will come up. You can test. That was one of the things, or one of the ways that I go and look for new ASINs. Also through, let me think. Yeah, I mean, when I first put my shipment together, that's another thing, was just like I was kind of stuck. Like I wasn't sure how to do that. So I guess for newer sellers, it's just like you go into the Facebook group, ask the question through there. It's been asked a million times. How do I put my first box together? What is dimensional weight versus actual weight of a box? Everything could be found in that Facebook group.
Yeah. Use the search function or just ask a new question, and everyone's there to be helpful.
Yeah.
Ungating is a popular topic with a lot of new sellers. Like, I'm gated. I need ungating. And they go spend $300 to $800 to have someone help them get ungated. Don't do that. Just go into our Facebook group, type the word ungated or ungating, or even gated, just different versions of that word. You're going to see great conversation with people giving very specific advice on exactly how to navigate that. It's not a complex thing. It's one of those things, if you'll trust me, it's one of those mountains that'll feel like a molehill about a month into your journey. Like, why did I make such a big deal about that? Right?
It's
everyone's going to kind of go over those little hurdles. That's the value of our Kickstart, again, too, to kind of bring this full circle. Contact our support team at silentjimdotcom for less than $40. You can get into 4 coaching sessions with a group of other new students and one of our best coaches on our team. We've got a few dozen coaches, great coaches helping us lead that program and walk you through those initial steps.